Hi all, Kurt Typley here for Church Sound Boot Camp. I hope you enjoyed that little video we did earlier tonight. But there's a lot more that we could discuss on that topic about choosing loudspeakers for the small church. And I don't mean to create a design course here that would take weeks, months, years to develop. But there's more we can talk about just in the simple topic of choosing a loudspeaker for a small church. Again, a lot of churches these days, small churches are meeting in like office areas where it's like a 9-foot drop ceiling in an office complex or that kind of thing. And ceiling height is your friend. And when you have a low ceiling, a 9-foot or even a 10-foot ceiling, that's a real challenge when it comes to sound coverage and those kind of things. So here's where we talked about it. There's I had an example up earlier. Let me share my screen. So I have this example of a small church, probably seats maybe 200 max. Here's the platform is up here at the top. You can't see. I don't know if you can't see my pointer or not, but the platform's up here at the top. The main seating area is out here, and then here's like a fellowship area back here and towards the back. No permanent seating back in this area back here. I could show it in a perspective view just to give you a little better feel for the room. The green areas are audience areas, so listeners would be seated out here in the main section here, and of course off to the left and right sides. And then I've got a seating area designated for the platform to show you how much sound coverage was coming off the back of the speakers in that particular case. And we looked at it earlier when they had a turn on a couple of loudspeakers. These speakers here are about 8 feet off the floor, and they're aiming straight out. If I come to the side view, you'll see that they're aiming straight out, which is really common for a lot of small churches. You can get angle adapters. If you're going to put these on stands, you can get an angle adapter where you can aim it down. Really, we wanted to aim at the listener in the back row back here. So the speakers, ideally, we want it aimed back here. And the idea here is that the most sensitive spot is aimed towards the back of the room. The folks up here are a little bit off axis, but they're physically closer to the loudspeaker. So just geometrically, it tends to work out a little smoother coverage from front to back. We can spin the room around for fun just to give a little bit different perspective, but you can kind of get a feel for what the seating areas are and the relationship of the seating areas and the loudspeakers. Anyway, let's look at the coverage. I've got these two speakers firing straight back, and so you can see here we're at 4,000 hertz, and so we look at these at different frequencies just to give us a feel for what we're doing. We're looking at 1/3 octave frequencies, and remember that the brighter the color, the louder the sound. And so each ISO line here is a 1 dB change. So at 4K, we're pretty hot signal up here, and those folks in front are getting hit pretty hard. And as it falls off pretty rapidly as we go back, we want to see very little coverage up here on the platform area. If we have a lot of coverage up here from those speakers coming off the back of the speakers, for example, then that just means gain before feedback issues, where you're going to have feedback problems up in this area if the sound is very strong off the back of the loudspeakers up here. If I change this to like 2 kilohertz, here's the difference in the coverage. Again, pretty hot in here, and there's a hole down the middle, and folks way off to the side, to left and right. Far front seats are, of course, left with not very much coverage at all. But this is smoother. I mean, coming back here, this is smoother coverage, so that's a good thing. We want the fewer the lines, the better when we're talking about these ISO lines and what that means for coverage. So if we take another look, how about, and we go back to our model here, and how about I take these speakers, and I can actually look through the throat of the speaker. I'm going to click on one. I'm going to go to my loudspeaker aiming tab. I'll bring it over here so y'all can see that. And I'm going to aim that speaker back. How about in here somewhere? How about kind of aiming it towards the middle of the room? Let's see what that looks like. So now I'm kind of cross-firing them into the room, and just something to try. See if that improves things, or sometimes it improves things, sometimes it makes it worse. Generally, we don't want to do this. Generally, we're trying to not have the speakers overlap. If we were looking for a left-right kind of system, a stereo-ish kind of system, then it would be fine to cross them like this. And then the folks seated in the middle would have good left-right imaging from the loudspeaker system. Usually we're going to run these systems in mono. But anyway, let's take a look at, see what that did for coverage. I'm going to come back over here to my mapping, and I have to update this so so the computer knows where I'm aiming now. And I'm going to do this again at 2 kilohertz, if I can find my mouse here. And just thinking about it. Okay, so now here's our coverage with those speakers aimed more towards the middle. Now this is best case. I'm actually not showing you some interference here. This is just looking at the direct energy from both loudspeakers. It looks like we have phenomenal coverage through here. The reality is that we can also show where there's interference between these two speakers, and right down the middle we're going to have some problems. But anyway, so here we've got a nice coverage for the folks seated in the middle, right? But what about the folks seated out on the far left and right seats? Now we've kind of abandoned them. That's for the folks who get there late. You know, the coverage is fine for those seated in the middle. For the folks that got there late, or they have kids or something like that, and they're sitting off to the side or in the back here, they're not hearing much of the high frequencies. They're getting some low frequencies, of course, but not much of the high frequencies. If I bring it down to, let's say, 400 hertz, you'll see what I mean. Now we're getting a fair amount of low frequency energy on there. Of course, we're getting lots of energy on the platform and wells, which means that a microphone over here is probably going to have issue with feedback around 400 hertz. Some things that the model can tell us. Let me take it back up to just picking on 2K. We want to look at it at multiple different frequencies. So the issue here now is, what do? If I come back to my model here, maybe what we could do is add a speaker that covers just this area here. So I'm going to do a quick duplicate of this S1 here, speaker number 1, and I'm going to move it, how about 1 foot over to the left, and mirror it here, so it automatically added another speaker out here. And so let's say, let me look at my let me okay this, and I'm going to look at loudspeaker aiming for that particular speaker. And let me bring that. I need to hit that again. Sorry. Yeah, let's not give it to me. So let me do this. Oh, I need to save it. I'm sorry. I added another speaker, so I actually need to save this. So I'm going to let me close this real quick. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to apply this, and I'll come over here and save it. Sorry, you can't see my other screen over here, but it's just the main screen for ease. Again, this is the ease enhanced acoustical simulation for engineers, I think is the official title. I've been using this since like 1990, and I still can't remember the name of it. Okay, now we can look at, I'm going to take this and I'm going to, well, for some reason it's not giving me my aiming, so I'm just going to aim it manually. I'm going to come in here and I'll look at properties, and I'm going to, I lost my screen. Oh, that's one reason right there. Okay. Come over here, and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take it over here. How about minus 15? How about, let's see what that does. Okay, so we're kind of aiming back here in the corner. Maybe I'll take it a little bit farther. I want to aim it right back into that corner. So I'm going to, I keep losing my screen here. My apologies. I keep hitting the streaming software. Let me go to minus, how about 17 degrees? A little bit farther. I don't know why my aiming screen's not coming up, but let's go to minus 19. Works. I can't type apparently tonight. Must be late. Yeah, 197. Okay, that won't do it. Okay, it's 19. There we go. That's pretty close. Probably want to turn this down a little bit because it's closer into this area. So I'm going to maybe turn it down a couple of dB. Again, my apologies. I'm off screen. That's just, I don't want to take time to bring it back over so you can see it. So anyway, I've added a couple speakers. It mirrored it to the other side for me just because I've got it set up for symmetry. I'm going to save my file. And now I'm going to go to my coverage map. There's my loudspeaker aiming now. I'm going to go to my coverage map over here. Bring this back up. Come on, come back. Where's my coverage map? It would argue me with it. No, it's still calculating. All right, here we go. It took a minute to calculate it. So I'm going to look at my loudspeakers, and how about we just turn on the two outside pairs, the two that I just added. So I'm not going to have the middle coverage here. I'm just going to add those two others again at 2 kilohertz and see what we get. And so here's our coverage out here on the side. Not too bad. I mean, I'd like it to extend a little bit farther out here, but not too bad. So now if I go ahead and turn on all 4 speakers, come on. All right, so this will be the coverage at 4 kilohertz. No, I'm sorry, at 2 kilohertz with all 4 of the main loudspeakers. All right, so nice and smooth across here. Again, folks up here seated in these far front left-right corners are not going to be covered very well. So we can either just decide to not put seating there, or we can fuss with those loudspeakers a little bit more, maybe get a speaker, make it a little wider speaker that's going to cover that area, that kind of thing. That's a trade-off, compromise that you make during the design phase. But anyway, that's not too bad. Now, if you want to see the dirty little secret here, we can look at the turn on the interference, and you can see what's actually going to happen. So far, I've been calculating without interference, and I'm going to turn these on now, and you'll see the interference pattern down the middle of the room in particular. There'll be some other stuff back here as well. So you can see, yeah, we got a mess in here. There's a bunch of all the stuff here now. And this, if you walk across these areas, you're going to hear some of that 2 kilohertz. If I come up to like 4K, let's say, it's a little more direct energy. It's a little bit better there. There's still going to be some kind of funny stuff. Falls off pretty fast over here. And there's not as much interference down the middle here as I would expect, but and we do something really goofy. How about we come down to like 315? Now, these are small little two-way loudspeakers that I've got here. Very nice sounding loudspeaker, but pretty small format, small horn, so it's not really great at feeding the sound, controlling where the sound goes, I should say. But anyway, gives you a sense of what's going on down here at 315 hertz. Let me bring it back up to how about 3150, 3K coverage. So anyway, worst case, I've got some interference back here, and I can, I haven't messed with the timing of these speakers. I can help them converge a little bit better by doing a little bit of delay, like the outer speakers, for example. But for now, let me go ahead and turn off the interference. Stand by just 1 second. I'll get rid of the interference just so we can get a better feel for the overall coverage that we're going for here. And there you go. Again, this is at 3100 and back at 2000 hertz here. And again, those differences in the sound level where like it's pretty hot at those upper frequencies and down a little bit lower here, we can deal with an equalizer. We can calm those down and get a smoother response using an equalizer, which we can do to a certain extent even in the modeling software. But I'll save that for another time. Like I say, this wasn't intended to be a design course. Let me go back to so you can see my my messy office. You'll know when I've cleaned my office up by all the stuff in the background going away. We'll see if I ever get to that. I tend to have a messy office, but I know where everything is, so it's one of those kind of things. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I posted the link for that earlier article on the website. So if you go to churchsoundcheck.com, look at my articles for the section on, or the article on choosing loudspeakers for the small church. You'll see that thing that I covered earlier today. And we'd love to see you at one of our upcoming workshops. We've got the next workshop we have scheduled. It's not till May, the first weekend of May, in the Indianapolis area, right near the airport. But we are looking for additional host churches. We've got some host churches looking at some dates in June, possibly in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, also possibly up in New Jersey and over in Virginia. If you're interested in hosting one of our classes, we would love to talk to you about it. If you go to churchsoundbootcamp.com, you'll get information about the Indianapolis class. And if you'd like to write to us, I'll put a link in the comments below this video. But you go to csbc@typelymedia.com. And I know that's a big word, so that's just my last name. So I'll put that in the comment section so you can get in touch with us. Bless you all. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll look forward to talking to you soon. All right. Good night for now.